Hi guys, it's the Walking Zero Dead here, king of the anime and manga unboxers, and today I'm going to start up a new little segment where I'm going to be doing recommendations of some anime and manga that I feel you guys should check out because they're really awesome. I'm going to be doing things like 20th Century Boys, Pluto, obviously Monster, things like Ikigami, Bloody Monday. I'm going to throw in some like anime series in there as well, mainly because I'm a bit bored of seeing every week everyone talking about One Piece, Naruto, Bleach, chapter review, blah 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 discussion. It's like everyone's going right, so I'm going to go left and do something a little bit different, so hopefully you enjoy it. So today I'm going to be recommending Monster, and I'm going to be recommending the anime and the manga because it's a pretty much perfect adaptation either way. And the anime is 74 episodes long, which I've actually rewatched recently over the last couple of weeks and fell in love with it again, and it's just gone, oh my god, I've forgotten how great this series is. It's absolutely fucking incredible, so well written, just boof. Well, I'm going to get into that once I talk about the recommendation. The manga is 18 volumes long. A lot of it's out of print, so it's very difficult to get hold of, which is a massive shame. So if you don't know what it's about, the basic plot is it's about a gifted young neurosurgeon. There he is, Dr. Kenzo Tenma, and one day Tenma is basically forced with making a choice of saving a young boy who's been shot in the head and he's like a twin, or saving the life of the mayor of the city. And he pretty much decides that he's going to save the young boy's life because he turned up first in a hospital. So he ends up saving the young boy's life from a gunshot wound to the head. And all of his peers and the director of the hospital really shun him. They basically go, right, that's it, career over. You're not going anywhere from now. And this pretty much costs Tenma his fiance, and he gets really depressed. Now mysteriously, maybe a couple of days later, all of the people that are in the way of Tenma's dream of becoming the chief of surgery, they all mysteriously die out of nowhere, and the two twins go missing. We then, without giving you any spoilers, because this is sort of key to the plot, we skip forward a couple of years, and Dr. Tenma's looking after a man called Yonkers, and he ends up getting murdered and executed right in front of him. And it turns out that it's Johan, the small boy that he helped save when he got shot in the head. And now Dr. Tenma, all of these murders are now sort of dumped on him, and now he's the prime suspect, and no one believes Dr. Tenma that it's this small little boy that killed all these people, or that he's grown up and he killed Yonkers. So Tenma's screwed. The authorities are after him. He has to go on the run, and he has to go and search Johan and prove his existence. The only thing is that it's Johan wipes his existence, so it's very hard to find him, and it's just an amazing sort of I wouldn't say it's like cat and mouse, but it's definitely a great journey with loads of mystery and twists and turns and revelations, and it's absolutely incredible. So let's get on with the recommendation, guys. Monster asks the question of whether Tenma will is he willing to give up his ideals, his morals, in order to stop the monster that he created, that he helped revive. When Tenma leaves the hospital in search of Johan on the run, he encounters both the best in humanity and both the worst in humanity. He finds people that help him along the way, even though they find out he's a killer, and he finds people that are neo-Nazis and people that beat up children, and he really sees the best of people, and he really sees the real scum of people as well. Both he and the reader, or the viewer, whichever way you're doing it, witness the capacity for change in people. Monster is an exploration of what it takes to create a monster, and in doing that, it presents the audience and Tenma on his journey with a complex and gripping morality play. Urasawa is known for his complex mysteries that sometimes sort of veer off. The plot sort of seems to veer off in odd directions, but the series is so well written, and it's so well crafted and weaved together. The way that seemingly unrelated plot lines sort of come together is absolutely genius. This guy is a fucking master of suspense, which as it says, from Japan's master of suspense on the front of that. This guy, he knows how to write a really good mystery. If you like psychological thrillers, you need to check this guy's work out. 20th Century Boys, Pluto, Billy Bat, Master Keaton, Monster, you need to check these out. You'll absolutely love them. Monster is as sophisticated as storytelling can get, in anime and manga. It's sophistication, at its absolute best. You're not going to find anyone that's writing better manga than this guy. Get your dick out of fucking Oda's mouth. Berserk. Sorry, no, not going to happen. This is the guy. Trust me. With the anime TV series, you get a cinematic feel from Monster. You don't feel like you're watching an anime. You actually feel like you're watching something like a HBO drama. Like something that's live action. Even though it's not live action, you get that sort of like high quality, big time feel from it. And also from the drama, from the characters and the storyline. It's that good. Honestly, it's that good. The anime, as I said, is a near, shot for shot or panel for panel adaptation of the manga. So it all comes down to what you prefer. Do you prefer reading manga or do you prefer reading anime? Because either way, it's pretty much identical. Also, just to let you know, this is a dialogue-heavy sort of like series, but the pacing is so like thrilling and it sort of like captures you in. Like you have to watch the next episode. But even though it is dialogue-heavy, this as long as you get hooked into it, it won't be slow. It won't be boring to you. The series is also true, to its time period, which is another little cool thing I like. It's set in like 1980s, like Germany, with the plot being full of like political like drama and secrets of like the Cold War and the Berlin Wall, which is all sort of like what happened in real life in like 1980s Germany. So Urasawa did a really cool job putting those nice little touches in the series. Monster has some really memorable and realistic characters in this series. The characters in the series could change really dramatically, but in a really believable way, like it would happen in like real life. For example, you've got Dr. Tenma. He starts off as a really happy man that loves his life and loves his job, but after the events that happen in the series, he becomes like a really broken man. He's depressed, he's run down. You really see that he's completely changed, sort of like midway to the end of the series. Even though like he keeps his morals, but you can just see that inside he's like broken. And also you could bring up like his ex-fiancée Ava. She becomes like an alcoholic, and her life completely falls apart, and she becomes broken, basically like a bum. Characters can be flawed and unsure if they're doing the right thing. So this is why they feel like realistic. The cast of characters what make the series so interesting. The acting and the voice acting in this make you feel, like I said, like you're watching a HBO series. It honestly does. So now I'm going to be, talking about my favourite characters in Monster. I'm going to have to leave a couple of them off just because I actually ended up liking most of the key characters in this series. So characters like Dr. Gillen and Mr. Grimm, I'm going to leave some of those guys off just because I'd be like talking about like 10 characters. And I'm going to leave Dr. Tenma and Johan last because, save the best for last, as the old saying goes. So I'm going to start off with Ava, who's Tenma's, ex-fiancée. She's a really well-written female character. I fucking hated her. Because she's such a selfish fucking bitch that only cares about herself. She hits like rock bottom, becomes like an alcoholic, and she's still like really bossy and demanding, even though she's a fucking piece of gutter trash. And I hated her not because she's annoying, say like a Sakura character, because she was written to be a hated fucking character. She is a fucking bitch, and she's written to be a bitch, and that's why I kind of love her, because she's actually just brilliant. Hated her. Little bitch. But anyway, let's move on. Inspector Leung Gay. Liked Leung Gay, thought he was a really cool character. It pissed me off that it took him so long to figure out that Johan existed. I was like, for fuck's sake, Leung Gay, what are you doing? Fucking hell, pull your finger out, son. But Leung Gay is a great, secondary antagonist for Tenma. Being the detective that through the series is, constantly, 100% behind that, Tenma's guilty and he's after him. Leung Gay is, he's unrelenting and he's obsessed with his job. He's sort of like stone cold. He's so obsessed with his job that he doesn't show any emotion when like his family leave him, or like his daughter says, you want to come see your child, like your grandchild for the first time, and he decides to fuck off and go do something else, hunting after Tenma. And I'm like, wow, in my opinion, Leung Gay is borderline fucking psychotic. And also he has an insane memory. His memory capacity is just fucking awesome, and he like taps with his fingers into his brain like in a keyboard in like data. That's how fucking crazy Leung Gay is. He's like if you're talking to him, he's going and that's how he remembers stuff. His brain he's like a computer. So I thought Leung Gay was kind of crazy, but he's an awesome character. Next up is Roberto, who's Johan's like hitman slash like bodyguard. and he's also from 511 Kinderheim, which is like the orphanage where Johan, Roberto, and Mr. Grimmer all were raised and brainwashed and all that sort of stuff. In my opinion, this is how you write a fucking hitman. He's written to be scary, he's written to be intimidating, he's written to be a threat, and he may not be the most badass hitman ever, but he's got that sort of like intimidation factor that when you're watching him, when you're reading him, you're like, oh fuck, please, just don't kill this character, just get the fuck out there. Like the psychologist, his name's like escaping me at the moment, and like he's given like a psychology sort of a session, basically, whatever you call it, to him, and then he sort of like clicks, oh fuck, this guy's a hitman, and you're like, no, get out of there, because he's such a likeable character. You're like, just get the fuck out of that room. And yeah, man, you just really fear for characters when Roberto is around. And if Roberto's got a hit on somebody, it's like, oh shit, they're gone. Next up is Richard Braun, who is a sort of like a down and out alcoholic, like private investigator. I really connected with this character, and I really felt sorry for him and like how he wanted to get back into like his family's life. And he's also got like a really dark past where he's like hiding this sort of like secret. And I enjoyed his backstory. I really liked the guy, and he came this fucking close to fucking Johan, basically. Well, not fucking him, but catching him and ruining his plan. That close, man, closer than anyone until the very end of the series, obviously. Next up is Nina Fourtner, or Anna Lieber, who's Johan's twin sister. Also, another really well-written, solid female character, and she's sort of like the female counterpart to Dr. Tenma in this series. And Anna, like Johan, has like a really dark origin because she's got like amnesia, all the bad memories she's sort of like cutting out, and she gets a lot of character development, and she's got a really good past. She's another really solid character. This is how you should write female characters in your series. Anna or Nina, whatever you want to call her. Really enjoyed her. She's a really great character. So next up, I want to talk about Dr. Tenma. In my opinion, Dr. Tenma is a really underappreciated sort of like lead character. I feel he's every bit as good as Johan, and everybody, when they think monster, they think Johan. In my opinion, Tenma is right up there with Johan, if not slightly better than Johan, in my opinion. I feel, Tenma gets the character development in this series, whereas Johan gets the backstory development, because, Johan's not on screen a great deal, and Johan gets development through his backstory, whereas, Dr. Tenma gets it through his personality and his journey. So, Dr. Tenma is like a good-hearted man. As a doctor, he understands the value of life. So it's very, compelling watching Tenma face, the fact that he sacrificed everything. His reputation, his future as a doctor, his fiancée, not to save the life of an innocent young boy, but a killer. Tenma has to carry the weight of regret on his shoulders because, the decision to save Johan has ended the lives of so many people. So many people, because Johan was saved, have been murdered and killed. Families have been, wiped off the face of the earth. Tenma's philosophies and morals are tested because he feels that he must now, kill the monster that he helped revive. So, Tenma's a guy that, he believes in saving anyone, whether you're a criminal, a murderer, a scumbag, he doesn't care, he's going to save you. So the fact that Tenma is now going out of his way to actually kill somebody, it's really testing who he is as a person, and he is a really good person at heart. So, next I'm going to move up to Johan Lieber. Johan is like the last person you'd ever suspect of being like pure evil and like a serial killer. You hate him, but at the same time you're drawn to him, which makes him such a great villain. We don't actually see Johan for most of the first part of this series, but the mysteries behind his like origin in like 511 Kinderheim are so like dark and so twisted and compelling that it's hard, to imagine there ever being a better villain than Johan in any anime series. So Johan is polite, he's like soft-spoken, he's charismatic, he's charming, he's very, very intelligent. So he's a very intelligent like young man. Behind all of that, he's a master manipulator. He's very manipulative. He's very seductive. He's a sociopath. He's a serial killer with no value for human life or no sort of like conscience, which is completely the polar opposite of Dr. Tenma, who really values life. He will murder you, without dirtying his own fingers, basically, unless it's absolutely necessary. Unless he absolutely has to kill you, or he feels like he has to wipe you out himself, he'll just send Roberto around for a fucking cup of tea and he'll kill you. Johan, values sort of like human life as much as a child sort of like mushing fucking ants. like, you know, in a line, basically. You're a bug. You're fucking nothing. He doesn't even think about it. There's no, when he kills someone, there's no emotion to it. You're nothing to him. You're just fucking, you're dead. You're in his way. You're nothing. All we know is that, you know, that Johan wants to erase any evidence of his own existence, and, you know, he just doesn't care who he kills. You know what I mean? You're just a fucking object in his way. Now, this is a recommendation, so I'm not going to give away, you know, too many spoilers. But, you know, the key to understanding Johan is the book The Nameless Monster. You know, the monster in this sort of like European story that sort of like pops up all the way through the series. You know, this little monster sort of like goes off and he offers to make, you know, people stronger so that he can have their name. He keeps the promise, but at the end he like devours them. So Johan himself like encourages people, you know, to do bad things, you know, by bringing out, you know, their dark aspects, because he's a master manipulator. He just, you know, he has to have like a 2-minute conversation with you. You're committing suicide. He doesn't have to kill you. He'll convince you to kill your fucking self. That's how good he is. He isn't a badass. He can convince you, go jump off a roof, go blow your brains out, do whatever. He'll convince you, man. I mean, he makes Anna, his, you know, younger sister, shoot him, for example. The children in 551 Kinderheim, you know, to start a rebellion, and, you know, he gets 50 people to kill themselves simply by throwing a rag in fire. He gets Carl finally to like meet his father, which, you know, he's petrified of like doing. And also he gets the children in like the little orphanage, the ones that he looks after, to play suicide games. I mean, he gets like 5, I don't know, say like 5 to 8 year olds to walk on the top of like skyscrapers or really tall buildings and essentially push each other off. And they do it, you know, just because he tells them to do it. You know, it seems, you know, to give him like direction in this book, and it's like he identifies with the monster, because the monster in the series hasn't got a name. But I won't go into too many spoilers there. It just seems like Johan is reenacting the story in real life himself, which is awesome when you're watching the series and everything's starting to like unravel, and it's sort of like tied in with Johan in this book. But it's happening in real life, and you're like, wow, Urasawa, you're a fucking genius. Monster has some really, you know, compelling and dark sort of like themes in this series. They're great. I mean, you've got themes of like child like trauma, identity, and what it means to have your identity, you know, washed away, and your emotions washed away, and you don't have like any identity and what that means. You know, you've got like things like the value of life and how everyone's life is equal, and you've got like regret and sort of like guilt. But I won't go into too much on the themes. You've just got to watch it for yourself. Fans of the mystery sort of like thrillers, you know, if you like psychological thrillers, how can I put this? You're going to absolutely love Monster. If you're a fan of something like Death Note, but you want a more adult version of Death Note, which is more well written in every single aspect, you have to watch this. You know, there's constant suspense. It's gripping. It's got great characters. You know, I highly recommend this. I just can't recommend Monster enough to anyone. You know, check it out. I mean, if you want to, you know, get away from like the shonen battle mangas at the moment, I'll check it out. I highly recommend you check it out. You know, it might be a little bit slow for some people because maybe it's not your sort of thing. I mean, not everyone's going to like it. You know, if you don't like something that's really complex and, you know, there's a lot of, you know, twists and turns and mysteries to it, then maybe you won't like it. But, you know, so drop me some comments down below, guys. What are your thoughts on Monster overall? Obviously, don't talk about the ending to anyone in the comment section. You can ask me, inbox me, whatever. Because I know a lot of people have got, you know, different opinions on the ending of Monster. Who's your favourite character and why? What are your thoughts on Johan Lieber's hitman Roberto? What did you think of him? Because personally, I just thought he was threatening and he was scary and he was just a fucking nasty motherfucker. And what recommendation you want to see next? You know, let me know. Drop me some comments. I mean, I've already said I'll do something like Parasite or Ikigami or 20th Century Boys or something like that. And, you know, just give me your thoughts on Dr. Tenma as well, because I think he's a really underrated and really underappreciated sort of like character. If you just found my stuff and you like it, please subscribe. Give us the old thumbs up for Monster. Give us a thumbs up if you like the video. May the sun never set on the British anime empire.